My mother-in-law keeps inviting my husband's ex to every family dinner, saying she's like the daughter she always wanted. So I gave her an ultimatum. When I married Nathan 3 years ago, I knew his ex. Juliana dated him through college. What I didn't realize was that his mother, Linda, had basically taken Juliana in like her own daughter during those 4 years. Even though Juliana and Nathan broke up 5 years before I came into the picture, Linda never moved on. She still had Juliana's photos sitting on the mantel beside the family portraits, kept her listed as her emergency contact, and called her every Sunday night without fail. Nathan brushed it off, saying his mom just had trouble letting people go. The first time I met Linda, she spent the entire lunch comparing me to Juliana. How Juliana was taller. How she made Linda's famous pot roast perfectly. How she just got Linda's sense of humor. I smiled and told myself she just needed time to adjust. But 3 months into dating Nathan, we showed up for Sunday dinner, and Juliana was there. Linda never mentioned she'd invited her. Juliana hugged Nathan for a solid minute while I stood there holding the salad I'd brought. Linda said she thought it would be nice for everyone to catch up. From then on, it became a pattern. Every birthday, holiday, or Sunday visit, Juliana somehow appeared. She'd help Linda cook while I was told to relax. She sat in her spot at the table and knew exactly where everything was because she still had a key. Nathan would look uncomfortable but never really confronted his mom, just weakly objected before letting it go. After we got engaged, I thought things might finally change. Instead, Linda threw us an engagement party and made Juliana the unofficial co-host. Juliana even gave a speech about how happy she was that Nathan had found someone, though no one would ever know him like she did. Linda recorded the whole thing. At our wedding, Linda tried to seat Juliana at the family table. I had to threaten to leave my own reception before Nathan finally stepped in. Juliana still came, as Linda's plus one, wearing a bright red dress Linda helped her choose, and she sobbed through our vows loud enough to be heard on the video. Last month was Thanksgiving. I cooked for 2 days, everything from scratch. When we arrived at Linda's, Juliana was already there wearing an apron that said Chef Juliana, something Linda had custom-made years ago. Linda proudly announced that Juliana made her famous stuffing and that we'd be using that instead of mine. She literally took my dish and put it in the garage fridge for leftovers. I went to the bathroom and cried. Nathan told me I was overreacting, that it was just stuffing. That's when I decided I'd had enough. At dinner, Linda started up again with her Juliana stories, her great job, her new house, her plan to freeze her eggs, how she hadn't found the right man yet, with a not-so-subtle glance at Nathan. Then Juliana mentioned she was planning a trip to Italy, the same trip she and Nathan had once planned but never took, and joked that maybe they could finally go as friends. Linda jumped in, saying it would be wonderful for all of us to go together. That's when I stood up. I thanked Linda for confirming that she'd never see me as part of her family. After 3 years of marriage, I was still just the woman standing between her son and Juliana. I turned to Juliana and said it was pathetic that she was still hanging around her ex's family like she belonged there, and maybe it was time to find her own boyfriend's mother to cling to. Juliana started crying. Linda shouted about disrespect. I told her she could keep choosing Juliana, but if she did, she'd be choosing her over her future grandchild, because I was 12 weeks pregnant, and if Juliana meant more than her son's wife, she'd never meet this baby. Nathan finally stood up and said we were leaving. Linda screamed that it was Thanksgiving, but he said, "Thanksgiving's for family, and clearly we're not that here." We left. Linda called Nathan 43 times that night. Juliana texted, saying I'd ruined everything and that what she and Nathan had was special. Nathan blocked her and told his mom she had to choose either Juliana or us. No middle ground. Linda chose Juliana. That was 3 weeks ago. Yesterday, Nathan's dad called. He said the family needed to talk because Juliana is pregnant and the baby is Nathan's. I hung up, my hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Nathan stood in the kitchen, pale and silent, like all the blood had drained from his face. I asked him straight out if he cheated, if he'd slept with Juliana while I was carrying his child. He stammered, swearing up and down that he hadn't touched her in more than 5 years, not since before we even met. He said he blocked her number after Thanksgiving and hadn't replied to any of her calls or texts since. He kept running his hands through his hair, his voice shaking. He keeps insisting this has to be a lie, that Juliana's making it up or his mother somehow put her up to it. But I can see it in his eyes, the doubt. He's not sure what to believe, and the panic in his voice makes my stomach twist even more. I tell him we need to figure out a timeline right now. Every single time he saw or spoke to Juliana in the past year. Nathan grabs his phone with shaking hands and opens it. Her contact has the blocked icon next to it. He scrolls through deleted messages, nothing from her that he replied to. Then he opens his location history and starts pulling up dates, showing me everywhere he's been. Work, our house, the gym, the grocery store. Just the usual places. We sit at the kitchen table and I grab a notebook and pen. My hands shaking so badly the pen keeps slipping, but I start writing anyway. Nathan goes through his calendar month by month for the entire past year. Every family dinner, I was there with him. Every holiday, every birthday, I was right beside him. He even opens his credit card statements, showing me the charges. Restaurants we ate at together, gas near our house, errands, groceries. Nothing out of place. We go through everything for 2 hours straight. According to every bit of evidence he hasn't been alone with Juliana once in the 3 years we've been married. The only times she's been around were those miserable family dinners. And I was there for all of them. It's past midnight when I finally stop writing. My hands cramping. Nathan looks exhausted and terrified. I need to talk to someone who isn't him because I can't think straight anymore. I call Violet even though it's late. She answers on the second ring, her voice full of worry. I tell her what happened and she says she's coming over. 20 minutes later, she's at our door with Griffin. They're both in sweatpants, clearly just out of bed. Violet hugs me tight and I almost lose it, but I hold it together. We all sit in the living room and I show them my notes. Griffin reads through everything while Violet holds my hand. Griffin looks up and says, "If Juliana's really pregnant, a paternity test will clear this up either way." His voice is calm, matter of fact. No decisions until we know the truth. Violet nods and squeezes my hand. It sounds so reasonable when he says it, but it feels impossible to wait when I'm this angry and scared. My baby is growing inside me, and I don't even know if my husband betrayed me. I don't know if Linda and Juliana are lying or if it's real. I feel sick to my stomach. Nathan tries calling his dad back, but it goes straight to voicemail. Then Linda starts calling. Her name lights up his phone again and again. He ignores it. It stops, then starts again. 17 calls in a row. The sound is unbearable. Finally, Nathan picks up and puts it on speaker. Linda's voice comes through, crying and frantic. She says we need to come over right now, that Juliana's devastated and Nathan needs to do the right thing. She's talking about family meetings, responsibility, and how we can't ignore this. I grab the phone out of Nathan's hand. I tell Linda that Nathan isn't going anywhere until Juliana takes a paternity test. If she's really pregnant, we need proof. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. Linda starts shouting, calling me cruel, accusing me of trying to ruin Juliana's life. She says Juliana would never lie about something like this. Then she starts going off about how jealous I've always been. I cut her off. I tell her Juliana's been too involved in our lives for years and that Linda's allowed every boundary to be crossed. So excuse me if I don't just take her word for it. Linda's yelling so loud the speaker's cracking. Nathan takes the phone back. His voice is firm now, calm, steady. He tells his mother that nothing will be discussed until there's medical proof of a pregnancy and a paternity test. No exceptions. Linda starts crying again, saying he's abandoning his child and that I'm manipulating him. Nathan repeats his terms and hangs up. The silence afterward feels heavy. Violet and Griffin just stare at us. My heart is pounding so hard it feels like it's in my throat. Nathan sets his phone face down on the table. I don't know what happens next. I just know everything has changed. Later that night. I'm in the bathroom throwing up again, the third time. Stress mixed with pregnancy hormones. My stomach feels like it's in knots. Nathan sits beside me on the floor, his back against the wall, whispering, "I'm sorry," over and over. He keeps swearing he didn't do anything wrong, but his voice sounds desperate, like he knows I might not believe him. I wipe my mouth and lean against the tub, shaking. 3 years of marriage, and I can't tell if my husband's lying about getting another woman pregnant. The thought makes me sick. When he reaches for my hand, I pull away. I need space to think, even though thinking only makes it worse. We stay in the bathroom until nearly 3 a.m., unable to sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see Linda's face or imagine Juliana with him. In the morning, while Nathan showers, I call my sister Coraline. She lives 2 states away, but when I tell her everything, she says she's booking a flight immediately. "You need family who's actually on your side," she says. She doesn't fully believe Nathan either, and that scares me. When I pick her up, she hugs me tight and starts asking detailed questions. At the house, Nathan looks exhausted. Coraline questions him like a lawyer, dates, trips, his schedule, any time he could have seen Juliana alone. Nathan answers everything calmly, shows her his phone, calendar, and credit card records. She photographs and takes notes, then tells him she'll verify everything by tonight. While Coraline spreads papers across the dining table, I make an appointment with a lawyer, Samuel Mercer, who was recommended by Violet. At his office, I tell him everything. He listens carefully, then explains my options. If Nathan did father Juliana's baby, I can file for divorce, but he'd still have rights and responsibilities to both children. He walks me through custody, support, and asset division. Hearing the legal details makes it all feel painfully real. I touch my stomach, thinking about my baby and what life could look like if this all falls apart. I ask about Linda's legal rights, and Samuel says grandparents have limited visitation rights here. But she could try to request it if she proves it's in the child's best interest. The thought of Linda having court-ordered access to my baby makes me sick. I can already imagine her turning my child against me the way she's tried with Nathan. Samuel notices my face and says we can include clauses to limit third-party contact, but adds we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, we need proof, whether Juliana is truly pregnant and if Nathan is the father. He advises demanding a paternity test before any legal action. I leave his office with a stack of papers, a $300 bill, and a pounding headache. When I get home, Coraline is still at the dining table surrounded by notes and Nathan's documents. Nathan's in the kitchen cooking like nothing's wrong. Coraline says she needs another hour. I sit on the couch, thinking about what the lawyer said, imagining what life would look like if our marriage ends, custody schedules, splitting the house, holidays with our daughter by evening. Coraline calls us in. She's organized everything into piles and goes over her findings. There's no gap in Nathan's records, no strange charges, no suspicious messages, no time unaccounted for. If he's lying, she says, he's covered every trace. Otherwise, Juliana's lying. Then Griffin speaks up. Or Juliana's pregnant by someone else and pretending it's Nathan's baby to get back in the family. The room goes silent. It actually makes sense. It would explain her timing and why Linda believed her instantly without proof. Coraline nods, calling it a smart theory. Nathan looks sick, but admits Juliana might be capable of that just then. His dad calls. On speaker, he says Linda's still demanding a family meeting, but he's starting to doubt her story. Juliana only told her yesterday morning, and Linda never asked for any proof before running with it. Nathan's dad says something feels off and asks if there's any chance it's true. Nathan says absolutely not. His dad believes him and agrees to talk to Linda about getting evidence before any meeting. After he hangs up, I call him back. I tell him we need Juliana to provide medical proof, a dated ultrasound and records, plus a written agreement for a paternity test once the baby's born. He pauses, then says that's completely fair and he'll make it happen. Nathan takes the phone and tells his dad, "We just need facts before we destroy our lives over this." His dad agrees. An hour later, I'm pacing the kitchen while Coraline makes tea. No one says a word. Nathan sits at the table, head in his hands. Violet and Griffin are still here. My phone rings, Linda's name flashes. I answer on speaker. She immediately starts yelling, accusing us of calling Juliana a liar and demanding proof. Her voice is shaking with rage, saying Nathan should support Juliana instead of me. I snap. I tell her she's been trying to destroy my marriage from day one, that her obsession with Juliana is wrong, and that if Juliana won't provide proof, we know she's lying. I list the ways Linda enabled Juliana for years: family dinners, holidays, emergency contacts, while gripping the phone so hard my knuckles turn white. Coraline touches my shoulder, but I keep going. Nathan stands, takes the phone, and finally speaks with authority. He tells Linda her relationship with Juliana has always been inappropriate, and he's done enabling it. We won't attend family events or answer calls until Juliana provides medical proof and agrees to paternity testing. Linda cries, but Nathan interrupts, saying she made her choice when she picked Juliana over him 3 weeks ago. He hangs up. Silence fills the room. Violet and Griffin agree he did the right thing. Coraline praises me for standing up. I feel sick, scared, and angry all at once. 2 days pass. Linda doesn't contact us. Nathan checks his phone constantly, anxious but somehow relieved. We spend the days together, watching movies, talking about the baby, pretending normalcy. On the third morning, there's a knock. Nathan's dad is at the door, exhausted. He explains Linda has been secretly giving Juliana thousands of dollars over the past 3 years, more than $40,000, while telling her everything about Nathan's life and our marriage. He shows us the bank statements and texts proving Linda informed Juliana about my pregnancy before we announced it. I feel sick. Nathan stares in disbelief. The texts reveal the full extent of Linda's manipulation. She and Juliana discussed my pregnancy and how Juliana needed to act fast. Linda wrote that Nathan would be tied to me forever once the baby arrived, and that Juliana had to make him jealous to remind him of what they had. Over dozens of messages spanning months, Linda fed Juliana details about our arguments, Nathan's schedule, and our private life. She encouraged Juliana to reach out, reminding her Nathan might be unhappy, and even suggested she get pregnant to force his hand. The timing was no accident. Linda told Juliana I was pregnant, and suddenly Juliana claimed she was too, orchestrating a crisis designed to destroy my marriage. My hands shook as I scrolled through the messages, feeling sick. Nathan read over my shoulder, his breathing fast and shallow, while his dad just sat with his head down. From messages 2 months ago to just days ago, Linda coached Juliana on every step, making Nathan jealous, bringing up old memories, even faking a pregnancy announcement to break up our marriage. Juliana hesitated at first, but the final message shows she agreed to claim she was pregnant with Nathan's baby, and Linda promised to make sure everyone believed it. I drop the papers and stand, shaking. Nathan stares at the last page, stunned. His dad looks exhausted and red-eyed. He tells us he confronted Linda after finding the messages. She admitted everything, claiming Juliana is like a daughter, but he says her obsession has destroyed their relationship with Nathan. He's considering separation if she doesn't get serious therapy and apologizes to us for enabling it. Nathan rereads the papers, his hands shaking, while his dad shows more messages. Linda feeding Juliana lies about our marriage, saying Nathan married the wrong woman and claiming they were meant to be together. She even encouraged Juliana to get pregnant to force Nathan's hand. The manipulation is staggering. Nathan's voice is broken as he asks why his dad called if he had doubts. His dad admits Linda coached him, and he only acted out of disbelief at first, but his conscience pushed him to investigate and tell the truth. Nathan decides he wants nothing to do with his mother until she gets professional help. The texts prove she's been emotionally abusive and working against our marriage for years. I call a therapist, Lucy Garrett, for an emergency appointment tomorrow. Nathan's dad leaves, moving out to process his own situation. Nathan sits next to me, head in his hands, shoulders shaking. We sit together silently until dark. The next morning, Nathan's brother Mitch calls, revealing Linda tried to manipulate him too. After talking to their dad and seeing the messages, Mitch and other family members are questioning Linda's story. Mitch says he's angry that Linda has been manipulating everyone for years, and he never realized it until now. Nathan and I see that Linda is posting vague, manipulative messages on social media, painting herself as the victim and dragging us publicly without naming us. Family members begin taking sides. I call our lawyer Samuel, who tells me to screenshot everything, document it, and not engage. This could serve as evidence of harassment if needed. I spend the next hour saving 43 posts and comments. Nathan looks shaken by his mother's vindictiveness. Later, Nathan gets an email from Juliana titled, "I'm sorry." She admits she's not pregnant and never was. She confesses Linda encouraged her to lie to force Nathan's attention, that she believed his marriage was unhappy, and that she went along out of desperation. Juliana blames Linda for manipulating her over the years, but also acknowledges she knew what she was doing was wrong. She ends by saying she's moving away and won't contact Nathan again. Nathan forwards the email to his family, exposing Linda's manipulation and Juliana's participation. He blocks both of them permanently and anyone defending them. Responses start coming in, with some family members apologizing for believing Linda without question.